Hello and welcome back everybody. My name's Dutch and I'm here today to help you improve your 1v1 skills by showing you a few helpful techniques that help me at loads in gunfights. As some of you already know, I've also created a few other tutorials, so if you're new to Gears of War 4 completely, you might want to watch those videos first because I will assume that if you're watching this video, you understand the basic mechanics of the game. So to break the video down, I'll be explaining how to do a Slapshot, a Lefty Flip, as well as show you examples of maneuvering in close, medium, and long range engagements. Now besides the ranges, I'll also show you some crucial awareness pointers when fighting around corners, covers, and square-sized objects such as grates and whatnot. And lastly, I'll show you why it's important to have both speed and accuracy in a gunfight and not rely on one or the other. So I hope you enjoy and you learn a thing or two. Let's get started. We'll start with the techniques. First up is the Slapshot. A problem with blind firing your weapon is that it's very hard and slow to consistently land shots on your target without missing any pellets. Now most players would counter this by just aiming. And of course you can aim, but when you aim, you expose yourself to being shot. So how do we take the best from both worlds without any of the negatives? You use a Slapshot. A Slapshot is when you combine a blind fire and a pop shot at the same time, resulting in your shot being more accurate and not exposing your character's body while shooting. It's an extremely useful technique to use when you have the time to do the almost frame perfect combinations. A downside of this technique is that it's not only tied to your frame rate but also where you can use the skill. It only works on low cover corners, so that means only in corners where you can aim past the sides and over the top. The next downside is the combination, which is very prone to failing because you have to move your left stick from either side to the top, which I'll explain now. To start a Slapshot, make sure you're in the right type of cover. Start by holding the left stick into the horizontal direction you're going to be shooting. And simply put, if the target's on the right of cover, you hold it straight right. And when the target's on the left of cover, you hold it to the straight left. Next, move the left stick towards the forward position, and while you reach the halfway point, pull both the left trigger and the right trigger almost at the same time. I prefer to pull my left trigger slightly faster than the right, just in case I have some in-game lag and I have to adjust my aim on the fly. Now when done correctly, you'll see the spread of your shotgun will be much tighter and your character will not expose itself as much as when you're aiming normally. And this is the benefit of a Slapshot. Next up is the Lefty Flip. A Lefty Flip is the counter to the right hand advantage all players have naturally. Right hand advantage means you don't have to expose your character when shooting past a wall. A very favorable position to be in for obvious reasons. When you want to do a Lefty Flip, you simply take cover on any wall that allows you to face to the left. What you do next is look past or over this cover and make sure your character is holding the weapon in his or her left hand. Next, continue to hold down the left trigger and pull back on the left stick to hold this position while you fire at your target. Keep in mind that the moment you reload or let go of the trigger, you'll pop back into your normal state. Now that you've learned a few of the techniques that you can use in 1v1s, let's talk about the ranges and what I believe you should do. Close range fights are my favorite because one mistake can set you or your opponent up for certain death. I often approach these scenarios in two ways. Number one, I attempt to lure out the enemy by giving him a seemingly easy shot on me, often doing an unexpected wall bounce right after, and then move in for the kill. Or number two, I look 2 to 3 steps ahead by simply outskilling my opponent with better movement and ending the fight with one shot. The key word in this is unexpected, because the better you become at moving in general, the more you'll want to play in ways that challenge your own style and weaknesses. A big weakness for any player is adaptability, so in order to practice this, you have to be willing to risk a lot for very little. So when you're facing players that you quote unquote know play worse than you, give them the upper hand and see how long you last. Now let's move on to medium ranges. I class medium range engagements when there is little to no cover in between us and I'm fighting to down the other player. In these fights, I suggest you always try to keep your back towards a wall as well as maneuver behind your enemy. Many times players will get caught off guard when fighting one person because they're spending too much time in one single spot. Another thing you can do is remember the timing between shots taken, and that's mainly for those who understand roadie strafing or like to strafe in general. One last piece of advice for medium ranges is to stay in wall bounce range of walls. That way you can always attempt to dodge at least one lethal shot if you really have to. Now the last range is long range. It should be clear that you never want to be a defending player when fighting 1v1s in long range, especially when you're playing by yourself. I say this because in most of your solo sessions, you will not have any teammates that will ever help you. Be the aggressor and attempt to find out what type of weapon you're up against. If you notice a shotgun, then attempt to go around the target and use your right hand advantage. If you notice a lancer or rifle, try to roadie strafe to get closer and think ahead of his fire. So if you can tell when he's shooting to the left or right, you move in the opposite direction. But you always have to be one step ahead. Another thing you need to do is always make sure that you move forward towards your enemy and keep them in your sights. Because the moment they start reloading or moving in the cover, that's your time to stop moving left and right and go straight in for the kill. I think you get the idea. The main point is recognizing who has the initiative and what you can do to move on from that point. The next thing we have are cover rotations and corners, some of the most exciting moments in Gears of War. Over the years, players have learned to manipulate the cover so well that the well-trained ones know exactly where and when to shoot from certain angles to gain an edge on cover. Now, a lot of this has to do with right-hand advantage, especially if the players are constantly rotating. How you can recognize an incoming cover battle is when players will try to catch one another off guard when rotating around the cover, either going faster than one another or changing directions mid-animation. I explained the reversal in one of my advanced movements and skills tutorials, so if you're curious on how to do those, check out that video. Fighting these battles well require a lot of preparation and mental flexibility. So start thinking of new ways of moving back and forth near rotational covers. Now before I end the video, I do want to reiterate once again that you need to practice this. Find a way to practice literally anything you can, and you will find yourself improve massively in a short period of time. 1v1s are all about testing yourself, your opponent, and catching them off guard using your momentum or luring them into a trap that you set before the fight started. Try not to jerk your aim around too much and blow them away with an overwhelming force of aggression. Challenge yourself by being in disadvantageous situations and do your best to fight out of it. That's my guide on 1v1s in Gears of War. I hope you and your friends continue to better your skill set and motivate others by leading as an example in the game. If it's been helpful, please consider liking and sharing the video. And also, make sure you comment down below what your favorite techniques are in 1v1s. Thanks again for watching and remember to subscribe for future content. Take care and good luck.